Alright, so transmission of data and information from one location to another is via electrical and electronic or electromagnetic equipment, fiber optic glass cable, or microwaves is known as data communication. Okay, so without these things, we cannot communicate to each other. Okay, so this is very important for us in order to make us understand how the data has been being transferred using this type of uh, technology. Okay, so usually there are telecommunication systems that we are using. So we have here five components of telecommunication systems, which is the sender, channel and media, hardware, software, and receiver. Okay, so these are the five components of telecommunications that we need to have in order to communicate and in order to send data to the receiver. Okay, so sender are the person who sent the data to the receiver. Okay, receiver is the person who received the data. Okay, channels and media, these are the what we call the bus, or the, let's like for example a highway, which all the data and information are being passed. Okay, so diri moagi ang ato ang mga data o ato ang mga information nga gi send. So let us discuss that one. So telecommunication, we have sender, which is input devices. Okay, so you already know what are those input devices. So that belongs to the sender. Channel and media. So channel, these are the transmission speed, transmission mode, transmission direction. So we will discuss that one. And the media, we have bounded and unbounded. So what is bounded and what is unbounded? Okay, hardware, so we have host computer, front end processor, modem, multiplexer, switch, bridge, gateway, and the bus. Okay, and the software, we have access control, transmission control, network control, and management. So error detection and correction, and the last one is network security. So this belongs to the software. Alright, then for the receiver, we have the output devices. So you already know what are those output devices. So it's like, for example, output devices is our monitor. So this is one, or this is the first hardware that we usually use for output. Okay, printers. Okay, those are the output devices also, and so on. Alright, so let us discuss each of these types. Okay, so let us go first to the telecommunication channels. Usually, telecommunication channel is a way for data to travel. Okay, so this is where the data has being traveled from sending station to the receiving station. Okay, so we have three characteristics of communication channels. So these are the transmission speed, transmission mode, and transmission direction. So let us understand what are these three all about. Okay, so transmission speed refers to the capacity of function of bandwidth. Okay, so the more or the highest bandwidth that you have, the more data that you can transmit. Okay, the lowest bandwidth that you have, the smaller data that you can transmit. Okay, so this is how we can transmit our data using the transmission speed. Okay, so as you can see, or as you already know, that if you have a high capacity of internet connection, then meaning the processing of data is faster, which compared to the internet connection, which is lower. Okay, like for example, you only have 3 Mbps for your data or for your internet connection, so which is mas low ang iyahang capacity to transmit data or to process the data. Okay, so we have three types of bandwidth. We have the voice band, which only up to 960 bytes per seconds. Okay, and then medium band, which up to 256,000 bytes per seconds, and the broadband, which is up to the very large number. Okay, so these are the three bandwidth that we are using. So usually for now we are using broadband. Okay, most of us are using broadband and so on. Okay, so which is broadband can accommodate higher capacity of transmitting data based on the bandwidth size. Okay, so this is how transmission speed is working in our in our daily processes using the internet. All right, next is the transmission mode. So what is the transmission mode? Okay, usually transmission mode has two types. Okay, so this is how the data is being transferred or that is being sent to the receiver. So there are two types of transmission mode, which is the synchronous and asynchronous. Okay, what are the difference between the two? Synchronous is a transmission which is used to transmit a group of character at a time. Okay, so if you have like for example a data or a message which composed of many characters, then like for example this word or these sentences, so uh, this sentence can be transmit with within the group of characters, just like for example this, then type, then of, then transmission. So that can be transmit on that basis. Okay, compared to the asynchronous, which is this type of mode will transmit the data one character at a time. So meaning if you have this line of text, which is you're going to send this one to the receiver, each of these word will be sent individually. Okay, so the letter T will be first sent, then H, then I, then S. Okay, that's how asynchronous is being processed of sending the data to the receiver, while the asynchronous will transmit the data by a group of character. Alright, so that's how the transmission mode works in transmitting data to the receiver from the sender. Okay, so nakuha na ba what the difference? Nakuha rin yung difference between synchronous and asynchronous?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so that's
Yes, sir.
how transmission mode works in our uh, processing of data to send into the receiver. Next is the transmission direction. Okay, transmission direction is which the data is transmitted. Okay, so there are three types of direction. So simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. Okay, so what are simplex, what are half duplex, and what are full duplex? So simplex is the data communication device that can send or receive data. Okay, so this device can receive or can send and receive data, but both are hidden in this way. Okay, so there are ways on how this type of device can send and receive data. Okay, but so dili siya dili siya proportionally nga if mo receive siya data, automatic ma-receive niya tanan. Okay, ug mo send siya data, dili automatic ma-receive niya tanan. Okay, so only one way of receiving the data. Okay, that's the simplex. Half duplex is two devices send or receive data in this scenario, but not at the same time. So this one this device will send and receive the data, which is cannot be what cannot send and cannot receive directly with the data. Just like for example, if you are sending the data, but there are also there is also a data which can being passed from the other sender to your device, which is magpaabot pa ang imong device nga ma-send niya ang data nga imong gi-send ay niya i-receive ang imong nga data. Okay, so dili automatically nga pag send nimo, if naay lain nga mosulod nga data sa imong nga device, so automatic iyahang i-accept. Okay, so kinahanglan pa siya mo wait. If mahuman ang sending, ay siya mo receive og data. So that is the half duplex. Full duplex, in this situation, data sent or received by two device at the same time. So both sending and receiving is catered by this device. Okay, so full duplex. So automatically mag-send siya, vice versa, mudawat po siya og data, okay, from the other sender. So this is how these types of direction of receiving and sending data are working. Alright, next is the telecommunication media. Okay, so there are two types of media, okay, which can convey or which can use to convey the data. Example is bounded data and unbounded data. Okay, so bounded media, bounded media is the signal. The signal of this are confined to the medium. Okay, so meaning this is in the cable. Okay, inside the cable. So twisted pair, example, fiber optic cables and coaxial cable. So this is used by the bounded media. Okay, so the data will be going to pass within this type of cables. Okay, so dito siya moagi sa tuang cables. Alright, then the unbounded media, the signals are not restricted to the medium. So just like for example is the microwave. Okay, another example is the satellite. So that is an example which is having an unbounded media, which is not going through into the cables. Okay, automatically the microwave will can send data through satellites, okay, to communicate to different devices. Okay, like for example, Wi-Fi can be also considered unbounded media. It's because we are not going to use cables just to send data to different devices. Alright, so this is the difference between bounded media and the unbounded media. Alright, next is the data communication hardware. Okay, so there are different types of hardware that we can use in this communication. First is the host computer. Okay, host computer is the network data processing handled by the host. Okay, or let us say the server. Okay, if one company or one organization has a host, then that host can cater all the devices that is being used from the user. Okay, so for example, here in Nurso, so we have IT department. IT department are hosting of holding those information or data coming from the different offices. Okay, so this is one of the example. Okay, all the processes and all the transactions will be catered by the host computer. Okay, so incoming messages are processed in the same way that the data from another sort of input unit is processed. So messages can be sent back to the front end processor for routing after processing. Alright, next is the front end processor. Front end processor is the one who are going to process the what? The data. Okay. This is the process, like for example, it improves the network operational efficiency by handling regular activities like synchronizing peripherals and guaranteeing error-free transmission. So mao ni siya mag cater for those specific works which can synchronize all the processes inside the computer. Okay. Next is the modem. Okay. Modem, it's an abbreviation for modular demodulator. Okay. It is used to convert digital signal to analog signals. Okay, and vice versa. So modem is used to convert signals, okay, from digital signals to analog signals. Okay. Multiplexer, it's a gadget that allows many messages to be sent and received over the same signal channel at the same time. Okay. So mao ni siya mag-allow sa mga messages nga na sent and na receive, okay, in the same signal channel. Okay, so like for example sa ato ang laboratory, if natay connection, so each of the computer inside the laboratory will be utilized or will be managed by the multiplexer, which is managing the send and receive of the signal, okay, within the place. All right. Multiplexer is a device that gathers signals from many terminals and send them over a single channel. Okay. So mo ni siya iyahang purpose or iyahang work, okay, inside the system. Next is the switch. It is a piece of equipment that select the data transmission path. Okay. Switch have the ability to regulate the transmission path between national and local networks. Okay, so this is most usually used in, like for example, mag-set up ta og mga internet connections. So we are using switch, okay, in order to what? In order to transmit data. Okay. Okay, from the other part of the regulating transmission and to the what's this to the place where the connection is being set up. Alright, so sa like for example sa ato ang IT department na po tayo mga switch na igamit, which is igamit siya to give internet connection to different offices. Okay. Next is bridge and gateways. So bridge and gateways are different. Bridge is typically used to connect two groups of computers. Okay. So that communicate with one another but not much with the machines in the other group. Okay. So mo rin siya gamiton para ma-communicate sa devices. Okay. So usually ang atuang switch na po siya part nga ingon ani nga mahimo siyang bridge to communicate this device and the other device. Okay. And also gateway is a TCP IP network node. Okay. So usually as you can remember katong sa hardware na to sa to siya administration na to, systems administration, we are using gateways. Okay, so these are the node, okay, network nodes that acts as an access point to other networks. Okay, so as you can remember, dili ta maka-access sa tuang server without having a gateway. Okay, so mo na siya access point na to nga maka-access ta sa tuang server if the server will communicate into the user. Alright. So when an IP address does not match any other route in the routing table, the network software utilizes the default gateway node, okay, on the computer network. Okay, so bus, the last one is the bus, so which is the collection of wires through which data is transmitted from one part of a computer to another. Okay, so muna siya itong tinatawag na cables. Okay, so inside the cables are the wires which all the data are being passed through that wires. Okay, so that is what we call the bus. Alright, let us go now to the communication software. Okay, software enables all the data communication hardware units to work. Okay, so as one system. So usually without the hardware, the computer or the system will not work, and without the software, the system also will not work, or the computer will not work. So it is better to have both particular important thing that we have, so that the computer will work. Okay, so both software and hardware. And we need also to remember that we need to secure the compatibility of both hardware and both software. Okay, it's because software will not work also if the hardware cannot what cannot manipulate or cannot receive the data. Okay, all right, so most of the software is located in the host and in the front end processor. Okay, but some can be located in the cluster, control unit, and terminals. Alright. So various types of computer software is access control software, terminal control software, terminal emulation software, network control software, error correction and detection software, and security software. Okay, so these are the various types of computer software. Okay. So, access control software. So, access control software is a software that provides the network connectivity between various devices. Okay, so terminals and computers, as well as checking the transmission method, speed, and the direction. Okay, so access control software muna siya maghatag nato og sa man connectivity, okay, between the devices. Okay, so without this one, we cannot connect each devices, okay, without having the access control software. Alright, then terminal control software is the data that is used to transfer over the network is controlled by the program. Okay, the data transferred over the network is controlled by the program. So this is the terminal control software. So siya may mag-control sa ato ang mga network or data nga i-transfer over the network. Alright, so without the terminal control software, so we cannot also control the process of data transferred from one device to another. Okay, terminal emulation software. When interacting with a mainframe, this software allows a microcomputer to act as a certain terminal. Okay, so siya may mag-act as a certain terminal for interacting the mainframe. So this is more on having a servers, okay, sa organization. Alright, so emulation software. Next is network control software. Okay, so this software coordinates, regulates, and administers the network's whole functioning. Okay, it determines the priority of data that is waiting to be transferred, check for transmission, okay, check for transmissions errors, routes messages, and maintain the statistics system. Okay. So this is how network control software works. Okay, siya mo'y mag-coordinates, siya mo'y mag-regulates, and mag-administers sa tanan nga function sa ato ang network. Okay. Siya mo'y mag-determine sa mga priority nga data which is waiting to transfer, okay, to one device to another. Okay. Error correction and detection software. It guarantees that any mistakes caused by other issues are identified and linked. Okay. So, siya mo'y kaning software may mag-detect if there are errors or mistakes. Okay, within the process. Okay, if the process will be triggered, then the error will pop up. Okay, and provide the specific information of unsay problem nga ni come up during the processes. Okay. Security software, the program protects data from unwanted access and keeps track of how the network is used. Okay. So this is also very important security software in order for us to protect the data. Okay. In order to protect the unwanted access for of the system. Okay, it's because usually nowadays there are many ways to access your data. Okay, it's because as we all know, hackers are within our surroundings. So naaray mga hackers sa palibot. Okay, gapaabot ra og kinsa og unsa nga kuan establishment ang pwede nila ma-hack. Okay, which can give them also benefits of hacking that particular organization. Okay, so much better if we have security software in order to protect our data privacy or our data also. All right. Okay, so this is the end of the first topic that we have. Okay, so any questions, clarification about the discussions?
None, sir.
Okay, your assessment for this topic. Okay, so read and understand the statement carefully. Write your answer in the space provided. So this is a quiz. I will be putting this one on the LMS. So dito na mo answer ani. Okay. So make sure that the answer is specific. Okay. Like for example, the software on this software. Nya ang answer niya is software. Just like for example last time, na mo answer og the software. Okay? So, more di siya pasabot, kana ramay yung ibutang. Ayun na appeal ng iyahang this. Okay. So, question number 1, the software determines the priority of data that is waiting to be transferred, checks for transmission errors, routes messages, and maintains the statistics system. Okay. So, yun na siya. Then, for the activity, look for an example of bounded media and unbounded media. Okay, give at least 4 sample of bounded media and 2 sample of unbounded media. Okay, provide the function of each sample. Okay, matag mo og function sa kada sample ninyo. Okay, so that is your activity. So you are going to answer also your activity dito ra pod sa LMS. Okay, sa LMS ra gyapon. So dito ra pod ninyo mo pwede ra dili na ninyo ibutang sa Word ang inyong answer, isulat na lang or i-copy paste na lang dito sa submission comments. Okay, kay what I did is if dito ra gyapon ninyo ibutang sa katong kuan ay ibutang ninyo sa Word and i-upload ninyo dito, what I did is i-download pa nako. So inyong buhaton is kuha na lang, i-copy paste na lang dito sa inyong submission comments. Alright, okay, so let us go now to the database management technology. Okay, So the objective of this topic is understand the data hierarchy of database management technology, learn the difference between data and information, apply the methods for organizing data in network, and discuss the advantages of database. Okay, so I hope the objectives will be attained at the end of this discussion. So let us go to the introduction. Okay, usually is the database is a logical structured collection of data used to run an organization. Okay, so as we all know, all the data now which is being kept in all the organization are stored inside the database. Okay, so I think only 10% of the organization can store their data uh, nga wala sa ato ang database or wala sa database nakabutang. It's because most of the organization today are using technology, so that is why most of the data are kept inside the database. Okay, so siguro diri sa ato sa Norso, some datas nga na-keep sa Norso is naa sa database, but there are some data nga wala gyapon na sulod sa database. So, like for example sa tong registrar nowadays nga daghan na gyapon sila og papers or mga datas from students before nga wala na sulod sa database. So naka butang ra gyapon siya sa kuan kaning ilahang parador sa tawag ana. Okay, document file nila. Okay, so transient data such as input documents, reports, and outcomes acquired while processing are included. Okay, so usually database is very important, especially when you retrieve the data, okay, from the system. Okay, you will not get a messy thing in finding data compared to the manual. It's because manual, you are the one who are going to pangitaon nimo dito asa ni napita unsa ni nga year. Okay, limong lantaon tong mga papel nga nakasuksok dito. Well, while on the database, you can directly search. Okay, search the name of the person or the student that you want to look for, or any types of data nga imong ganahang pangitaon. Just search and automatic the data will pop up. Okay, so yun na ka importante ang database. It's because of imong system wala database, so what will happen? So your system will useless. Okay, so nowadays database is very important. Okay, but if you have a database also, make sure that your system also is secure. Okay, kay na tendency nga ma-hack yung mga system, all your data will be published, especially those data that are kaning confidential. So nala di-keep ko na nimo siya. So gabutang sila mga software which is that software can protect the hackers or other types of ways in penetrating the data. Okay, so data and information. So what is a data? Okay, usually a data is a small pieces of collection which is being processed to create an information of the things. Okay, so a collection of discrete piece of information. So just like for example information of the person. Okay, you cannot get information about that person without getting first the data. Okay, asa na siya gapuyo, kinsa iyang parents. Okay, pila ka buk iyang igsuon ana. So those are data, a piece of data which is i-process na siya, i-combine na siya tanan, then it will become an information. Okay, It's been formatted in a unique way. Data can take several forms, including numbers or writing on papers, as well as bits and bytes stored in the electronic memory. Okay. Information, when data is processed, it is only when it is presented to a decision maker in a meaningful way that it becomes information. Okay. So without the data, there is no information. Okay. So you better get first the data and process that one to have your information. Okay. So yun na siya. And also, when presenting information, all hold the particular information of that particular organization is being presented there. Okay. Kinsay ngalan sa tag-iya, asa nang dapita, and so on. So those are information. Okay. Next is data hierarchy. Okay. The data hierarchy chain is a structure that organizes the data in a computer system. Okay, bits, bytes, fields, records, files, and databases are listed in ascending order. Okay, so bits is a value that is expressed as zeros and ones. Okay, so you already know this one. Bit is composed of zeros and ones, which signifies the presence or absence of an electrical signal. Okay, 1 is on, 0 is off. So that is the bit. Byte is made up of 8 bits. So 8 ka bits, that is what we call bytes. Okay, and is used to represent the character, number, alphanumeric in the computer. Okay, so usually, as you already know, computer cannot read our language. Computer will convert the alphanumeric alphabet or character into bits or zeros and ones. Okay, so one character is composed of 8 bytes or 8 bits. Okay, meaning 1 bytes. Alright. So, ano siya? Fields is a meaningful collection of letters or bytes. Okay. Like as last name, first name, and phone number, for example, are the 3 fields. Okay. So, in the database, you are going to have fields for the specific data that will store in that particular fields. Okay, so every fields has a data. Okay, combining that fields, that will become information. Okay, alright, so next is the record. Record is a collection of interconnected fields like as name, last name, first name, phone number, identification number, home address, for example, may be used to create as a record. Okay, so muna siya yung record niya. Okay, so okay, kanina sila ikan, nade siya diya na puyo, muna yung contact number. Okay, that is now a record inside the database. Okay, that is being compiled individually using fields. Okay, so after combining that one, so it becomes a record to that person. Alright, so file is a collection of interrelated records. Okay, that is a file. So tanan nga records nga nakabutang in one place, so that is what we call the files. Database is integrated store of logical connected data that allows for quick data access and processing. Okay, so as what I have said earlier, database is very important. It allows us to access the data quickly and process the data quickly. Okay, without a database, so you are going to store data manually using papers. Okay, using cabinets. Okay, so dito niyo mo i-butang. Alright, so, but for now, we are not bothered to store data in that way. It's because we already have a system. Alright. Next is the methods for organizing data and files. Okay. The method is chosen depending on aspects like as storage medium, access mechanism, and processing approaches, among others. Okay. So there are three types of methods for organizing data files. First is sequential file organization. Okay. Index sequential file organization and direct file organization. Okay. So let us discuss how does these three organize the data. Okay. So let us start with the sequential file organization. Okay. So sequential. All right, here. Sequential files assist method for the organizing is sequential method. Okay. In this method, the files are stored one after another in a sequential manner. All right. Then the records are arranged in ascending ascending or descending order of a key field. So depende sa yun sa pag-arrange ang data or ang records. Ascending ba siya or descending ba siya? Ascending is from 1 to 10. Descending is from 10 to 1. Alright. Sequential file search starts from the beginning of the file and the record can be added at the end of the file. Okay. So if you are going to search for a file using sequential file organization, example, this is a file. Okay. If you are going to look for a file, right? So like for example, hoser, you are gonna check first the first field or the first steps in the file or the first file within the database. So diri ka magikan i-check na siya individually. Okay, hangtod maabot diri nga file. Okay. So dili siya automatic nga pag search nimo automatic na ana dayon. Okay. Automatic mo point out dahil siya sa imuhang file nga gipangita. Okay. Sa sequential file, kinahanglan pa niya i-check individually ang file. Ayha nimo makita ang file nga imong gipangita. Okay. So that's how sequential file organization works. Okay. So it starts from the first file to the last file. Then when you store this the file with this kind of organization, you cannot store the file at the first part of the database, which is you are gonna your file will be added at the end or the last part of your data. Okay. So if mo na imong data tanan kunya na kay add nga data, dapat ang data is diri siya na mabutang, dili siya mabutang diri sa first part. Okay. So imong files na add diri mabutang sa last part mo add sa imong data or record. Okay. So yung nana ang sequential files organization. Okay, so dili ka maka save directly sa imong file diri sa first part or sa center. So ang file nimo is ma-save siya or mabutang siya diri sa last part sa imong file. Alright? So that's how sequential organization work. Okay. In sequential file, it is not possible to add record in the middle, so nara, of the file without rewriting the file. Okay. So i-rewrite usa nimo ang file, i-rewrite usa ang file diri sa tanan. Okay. Then ayha nimo butang imong file diri sa luyo. Okay, but dili kay ikaw na may mo kuan ana ang database na naman mo synchronize nga ingon ana iyahang process. Okay, it's because we are talking this one as a database. Alright. So yung nana ra ang process niya. So it takes longer to process the database to find data that you are looking for. Okay. So yung nana siya. Then then advantage and disadvantage of this one is it is simple in design. Okay, simple ra siya nga design. It requires no much effort to store data. Okay, fast and efficient method for huge amount of data. Okay, files can be easily stored in magnetic tapes. Okay, so mas store gyapon ang data in a magnetic tapes. Okay, so nana siya. But the disadvantage is sequential file is time consuming process. So dugay siya mo process. Okay, it has high data redundancy. Okay, so high redundancy is because dili niya ma-detect nga naa na di ay data nga nabutang dito inside the database. So this is a disadvantage. Then um, random search is not possible. Okay, so if you are gonna random search for the data, so dili siya possible. Sequential record cannot support modern technologies that require fast access to store the records. So dili pud siya pwede or dili siya mo support sa katong mga modern technologies na, which is dali ra ma-access ang data within the database. Okay, so muna iyahang disadvantage. Next is direct file organization. Okay, let me okay, direct file organization, also known as random access or relative file organization. Okay, all records are stored in direct access storage device or DASD, such as hard disk. Okay, the records are randomly placed throughout the file. So random, so dili na siya pasunod. This file organization is useful for immediate access to large amount of information. Okay, so this is mostly used by an organization, okay, nowadays. So here, this is the structure of the direct file organization. As you can see, we have here the records, the block of memory. Okay, so these are the records, record 1, 3, 6, 4. If you are looking for this record R1, all the data within that record will be come up. Okay, so mo show siya tanan. Okay, mo ni siya nga mga records, mo ni siya nga mga data ang naa diri nga record. Okay, if you're looking for record 4, then all the data within this record will show. Okay, so mas dali ra nimo makita. Okay, dili na kinahanglan pa nga ang data mo check pa siya sa record 1, 2, 3 until 5, dili na. So you can save the data or you can save the records randomly. Okay, san asa ra siya mabutang as long as na siya dito sulod. Then you can access that one also directly. Okay, just searching the record name and all the files on that record will be shown. Okay, so direct access versus sequential access. Okay, so this is the sequential access. So it starts from the beginning to down. Okay, mo start siya sa first, dayon paingon siya sa last part. Okay, sequential access elements is from number 1 to 3 must be processed before the element number 4 can be processed. Okay, so step by step ang sa sequential. While on the direct access, you can directly access the specific file or specific record that you want. Okay, automatic nga mo kuan siya dito, point out siya ana nga record. Okay, can be accessed without having to process the elements before it. So muna siyang dali ra kay dili naman niya i-check individually ang records. Automatic point out naman siya dito nga record. Okay, pag point out niya to, tanan nga files, tanan nga data nga naa sa sulod mo pop up na. Okay, so that is why data file organization is faster compared to sequential access. Okay, advantages of this type of organization, file organization. Advantage is in direct access files, sorting of the records are not required. Okay, so dili nakakinalan pa mag-sort sa tanan nga record. Okay, in access, it access the desired record immediately. Okay, so dali ra nimo ma-access ang record. It has better control over record allocation, most suitable for interactive online application. Okay, so that is why most of the online interactive application is using this direct file organization. Okay, dili kay siya kuti compared to the sequential, which is dugay siya kay ihapang lantawon ang individual file nga nasa sulod. Okay, disadvantages. Direct access file does not provide backup facilities. So mura din naka-disadvantage niya is because wala siya backup files or backup nga facility for the data. Okay, so if mawala, madelete, wala na. Okay, expensive hardware and software are required. Okay, so mostly kinahanglan katong malahalon nga hardware or software, okay, ang gamiton to use this kind of file organization. File updating is more difficult compared to sequential method. Okay, if mag-update ka og file diri sa direct file organization, mas lisod siya compared to the sequential. So here in the sequential, let's go back here. Ako sa ipalalom ni iyahang dili man gud slideshow man gud ako kaniya kay kani dili siya move. Okay, so sa index sequential file organization, ang method niya ni is to store the record using primary key. Okay, so this one naa siya primary key when you store the record inside the database. Okay, and index value is generated. Okay, so naay index value nga mo generate for each primary key nga i-butang niya sa tuang record and map with the record. So pag humana na iyang i-map ang record within that specific index. Okay, the data can be accessed either sequential or randomly. So meaning you can access the data using sequential process. Okay, which is coming from the first data going down. You check niya individually. Well, and also it can also access using random access data. Okay, so for me it's better to access the data randomly so that you can easily access the data inside the database. Okay, which is sequential, more kuan man siya, time consuming. Okay, i-check pa niya individually ang data ay ka makaabot dito sa imong data ginapakita. Okay, the index is stored in a file, okay, and read into memory when the file is open. Alright, so if the record has to be retrieved based on its index value, then the address of the data block is fetched and the record is retrieved from the memory. Okay, so that is why this is the example. This is the index of the file. Okay, so if you are going to try to search the data, then you need to know the index of each data. Okay, it's because each index has a primary key, okay, for that specific data. Okay, so if you imong ma-trace ang iyang index, then automatic the data will come up. Okay, and if you're gonna access the data using sequential, then it will check the index 0 up to 5. Okay, diri siya magsugod og check. Ana, check niya ni individually, then no stop siya pag abot na diri sa imong record. Okay? Pag wala pa diri imong record, like for example 9 imong search, then i-check niya ni individually, which takes time. Okay, i-check man niya individually ang imong record for sequential access. For random access, so if you know the index number, then automatic the data will provide. Okay, so yung nana ang index sequential file. Alright. So let us go to the advantage and disadvantage of this file organization. Sequential file and random file access is possible. So both, pwedeng sequential file nimo pag-access or random file access. It access the record very fast if the index table is properly organized. Okay. So that is why the data, if you store the data, the what's this? The reconstruction of your database is done ngano man para to maintain the structure or the sequence of the data. And usually if natay data nga store dili man na siya mahimong sequence, dili man na siya mahimong organized because there the process of data is dili man siya pareha. Okay, so this type iyahang reconstruct in order to maintain the sequence. That is why dali ra na pag-access kung na-organize ang data properly. Pero wala na siya na-organize, usually dugay po na siya. Niya pangitaon. Okay. So muna siya siyang advantage diri. Okay. So search search a record in a huge database is quick and easy. Okay, so mas dali ra ang pag-search sa kato mga dagko nga database using this type of file organization. It provides quick access for sequential and direct processing. Okay. Then the disadvantage is file requires unique keys and periodic organization. So kinahanglan lang, ang disadvantage ano niya kay ganid pa og unique keys for each file. Okay. Then file takes longer time to search the index for data access or retrieval. So dugay pod kuno ni siya pag search pag gamit siya ang index for the data access. Okay. And it requires more storage space. So kinahanglan po siya dako nga storage if you're using this type of file organization compared to direct. Okay, it's because mostly most organization are using direct access because dali ra siya makuha, then wala po siya ka-required og dako nga storage. But also dito po siya ig-on sa devices kay kinahanglan na po siya og mahal nga mga device ang gamiton atong direct access. Okay, so this three types of file organization magdepende ra gud siya sa users and organization og asa sila ganahan mo adapt nga file organization, sa sequential ba, direct ba, or this one. Okay, index. So when the new record are inserted, then the files have to be reconstructed to maintain the sequence. Okay, so kung ganiha nga dali siya ma-access kung ang index or files is properly organized. Okay, so that is why ang mo siya disadvantage pod. Okay, kay kada save nimo i-reconstruct niya ang record to maintain the sequence. Okay, so which is okay ra pod sa Japon, pero depende ra pod sa gamit. Okay, so it's up to the user to choose kung asa ang mas capable sa ilahang processes in terms of retrieving data and saving data within the database. Okay, so yun ana. Next is disadvantage of database. Okay, so as what I've said earlier, uh, first is that the reduced data redundancy. So this is the biggest problem before nga wala pa ta nagamit og database because data redundancy is very uh, time consuming, and it also sa ni na mo kuan po ni siya, mo kaon po ni siya og space sa ato ang storage. Okay, so mostly this problem will occur before. It's because we only storing data in a manual process, so dili ta makabalo nga nanaday ni siya nga data diri sa ato ang storage. So mo ni siya usa nga problem nga gi-cater sa ato ang database. Una nga problem nga gi-cater sa database nga wala na redundancy sa data. Okay, it's because database or your system will give you information that this data is already stored in this particular database. So dili na ka mo store dito kay na naman siya information nga mahatag nimo nga this data is already stored. Okay, so yun ana. Then reduce updating errors and increase consistency. So dili na pud ka magsigig update o sig update, and increase po siya sa consistency sa ato ang data. Consistent ato ang data nga mura gud siya. Okay, walay na dugang, okay, walay na kuha. Okay, ana. And greater data integrity and independence from applications program. Okay, so the integrity of our data is also strong. Okay, and safe also. Okay, inside the database. Improve data access to users through use of host and query languages. Okay, so when we use to query, when we use to access our data, it makes it easy. It's because we only need to search. Okay, unlike before that when we store our data, we will keep that in the cabinet. Then if there are someone looking for that data, then you are gonna find it there. Okay, looking at the files, okay, huge files nga naa diya sa inyong room. But when we use database, so automatic, you just ask the name, just ask the family name, and simply type the data file. Okay, then the data file will pop up. Alright, so that is why it is very important also. Improved data security. Okay, so your data also will be secured compared to manual data storage. Okay, manual data storage, there is not gonna be secured because maybe someone can have a copy on that. Okay, so pwede ra kung nakay-kaila din sa sulod, mingon ra ka nga tagay kong copy ading can be file. Okay, so that can be accessed, okay, in different ways. Unlike in the database, if you have a security, then each person has its own, like for example, the password for his accounts or for his sa files. Ano. So siya ra maka-access. Reduce data entry, storage, and retrieval cost. Okay, so maka-reduce na sa data entry, storage, and retrieval cost. Okay, so these are the advantages of the database. Okay, so usually there are also disadvantages of database, but I think I did not include it here already. Okay, so kanira ang advantage siya ako ang i-include. Alright, so this is the topic for the second topic for this morning. Okay, so I hope you already understand what are sequential file organization, direct file organization, and direct index file. Okay, index sequential file organization. Okay, so assessment, true or false. Okay, so In direct access files, sorting of the records are not required. This statement is one of the advantages of direct access or direct files organization. Is it true or false? So you're the one who are gonna find out if this is true or false. Okay, so it is only up to 5 items. Then the activity 2, from the 3 methods of organizing data files, okay, you're gonna choose one. Okay, choose one of the 3 methods and discuss what you have learned about the topic based on the discussion. So ikaw na po mo discuss ana nga topic. Okay, this document your discussion using a video presentation and send me the link on the submission comments. Okay. So imong buhaton is magamar kag discussion kabahin ato nga topic, sequential ba, index ba, or index sequential ba or direct access ba, gamara ka ato sa atong tulo, then imuhang i-discuss. Okay, unsa imuhang na sabtan ato nga discussion. Okay, so marang document. Okay, so minimum of 5 minutes lang a discussion about that topic. Usa ra man, so dali ra kayo.
Sir, taas kayong 5 minutes, sir.
Ha?
Taas
Sir,
kayong 5 minutes.
MIS, lagyan po na mo ipas, sir.
Oo, sa IMS ug gapon. O sige, 3 minutes
Ay,
na lang.
LMS.
3 minutes na discussion about that topic. So depende na sa inyo sa atong tulo. Okay? So that's all. And this is
Mo create make video ana sir.
Oh, video lang. Dayon
Sir,
ayaw ninyo i-send ang video. I-save ninyo yung video sa inyong Google Drive or naba mo naba mo YouTube channel. You can save that there. Just send me the link. Okay, ayaw ang video i-send kay bugat man. So di na ma-send dito sa LMS. Link lang sa
Sir,
video. Ako ray mo access.
sir,
Yes.
ingon na sir nga activity, sir. Then, kadang ayawan mi reach sa 3 minutes, sir.
Nga?
Ayawan mi paigo sa 3 minutes. Tatlo ganito ka question, sir, pero dili gud siya kaigo basta i-discuss siya.
Oh, sige, 5.
Dili. I mean, sir, dili kita kaabot, sir, ba sa 3 minutes.
Ayaw mo ka digli kay Igo. Igo
Dili
ra
ka.
na. Igo ra na.
Maximum of 3 minutes sir.
Oo.
Taas ang minutes, sir.
Maximum ra og 3 minutes.
Yay!
Dili
Yay!
ko Pero ayaw ra po og 1 minute ra ha. Grabe po nang discuss kag 1 minute ra po.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dali,
Yes, sir.
What if 1.5 minutes, sir?
1.5,
sir.
Gani sa kay pas
mga
para na mo nga paspas kay mo istorya, sir.
Oh, depende og paspas mo istorya. One ani ha.
1 minute
2
and
to 3
59
minutes.
seconds.
Ah,
Okay na daw, sir. Basta direct
Basta
to
kay
the point.
maximum
Talapon,
ra.
sir. Katong masabtan dayon.
oo. Sige, go.
Gani sir, kay precise bitaw ang pag-explain.
Oo.
2 to 3 minutes.
Sige ra, bantay mabala naman ako. Okay,
Sa una
sige.
lang.
Kana lang.